so glad that you're here to celebrate with us. We started as a drag king show, and we're sort of most focused on highlighting female-bodied masculine performers. And over the course of our 9 years, we have evolved a great deal, and now sort of present ourselves as a broad spectrum gender performance show of people of all gender identities performing gender in various sort of expressions. And a lot of these performers in their day-to-day life identify sort of somewhere along or outside of the gender binary spectrum. We do drag kinging and we have, drag queens as well, but most of Man Up sort of exists somewhere along the middle, and many performers sort of dance along that line depending on the number they're doing too.
So that was a clip from a documentary called Stay Gold that came out in 2018, made by a local photographer and filmmaker, Ray McEachran, documenting some of the history and background and performers that make up the Man Up community. You might see someone familiar in that. My partner and I used to perform in Man Up. And so you can find the rest of the documentary on YouTube. You do not need to watch it for the class, but I just wanted to give you kind of a sense of some of Vancouver's local drag. And so Man Up, as Paige Ponyboy, who is the producer of Man Up, said, it started off as primarily a drag king show and has kind of blossomed into a multi-gender, multi-medium form of a performance community. It used to be held at the Cobalt Hotel and then has kind of morphed into a warehouse party, obviously before COVID. So perhaps during discussion, I'd love to hear if any of you have experienced Man Up, but also other forms of local drag, and what your experience is of going to local drag shows. So just to end the lecture today, so I have a clip of Shay Dior talking about House of Rice and the establishment of this first all-Asian queer drag family. And this comes from the same CBC series that also profiled Rose Butch that we looked at from last week.
Vanilla or spice, no chocolate or rice. These are real Grindr profiles that were online. I've blocked more Asians than the Great Wall of China. Don't ask what I'm looking for, no Orientals. White and Latinos plus, not into other Asians. I'm white and attractive. Sorry, if you're anything less, you're not worth it. My name is Shay Dior, and I'm from Vancouver. When I started drag in Vancouver, I noticed that there was a lot of white queens performing around me, and when I looked in the audience, it was still mostly a white audience. Queer Asians are already kind of uncomfortable with their own queerness. So going to a gay club in itself is already pushing their comfort zone. Seeing drag might be even further out of the comfort zone. It's why I strive for visibility with the queer Asian community. Rice Cake is a queer and Asian dance party. It's the event that I organize. When people are at a Rice Cake party, I just want them to feel like pure joy.
Is someone heckling me? Heckle me more. I love the attention. My name is Shay Dior, and I am the creator of Rice Cake, and I'm happy to see you all here. We got a really hot show for you tonight, and I'm just gonna get on with it.
I've received a lot of feedback from people that have come to Rice Cake and said they didn't know that this was something that they wanted, but it was something that they needed. I love making people happy and like connecting good people with good people. I just want to provide inspiration for other queer Asians to see people like them and to know that they are able to be queer and able to explore themselves.
Yes, take your hands up. I'm doing great. Rice Cake is popping off. It seems like it's really busy tonight.
When I was growing up and watching all these like movies and shows, and I always found that the villain is like always a really cool aesthetic, but it's always like a lot of them are more misunderstood. I like to joke around that my aesthetic is like an anime villain character now. Going into playing with this darker side of makeup and looks and like outfits and stuff is just a way for me to like showcase contrast on my actual personality and be unapologetically Asian and just focus on decorating that rather than covering it up. It made me a lot more comfortable with my drag.
So yes, I told my mom 3 weeks ago at Denny's. I don't know where that came from. I was like,
Sometimes it's like you finally feel that it's time and you just do it.
I know.
I didn't plan
like,
when I
was,
told my mom. I didn't plan it. We were grocery shopping, and I was like, I think this is the time.
I'm so glad.
Love you.
I'm like one of the House of Rice.
Love you so much.
Like, I don't know what you say.
My makeup's in the back.
I can fix some makeup.
You've been practicing.
Hmm.
Love you so much.
But yeah, I think everything will be fine.
Yeah,
Just give them time.
exactly.
Yeah.
Love you, babe.
Love you, Mom.
In the queer community, the drag family is your chosen family that takes you in and takes care of you and makes sure that you survive in the world.
House of Rice, I summon you.
House of Rice is the only all-Asian drag family in Vancouver. It is at 9 members now, including me. I've had 8 kids. My daughters, Valak and Nikita, they are from mainland China. Anything gay is censored over in China. Their parents would be not okay whatsoever with anything that they're doing. It hurts me to think about that. But at the same time, like if I had never done Rice Cake, if I had never brought them into the House of Rice, they might have just led this very straight, narrow-minded life and not being able to see the magic that they have in themselves. We all have this common goal of working towards a future for the queer Asians. I want to amass an army of queer Asian performers to take over the world.
So that's just kind of a glimpse into one of the drag houses I was talking about, having these kind of extended forms of queer kinship. So this is a really nice example of a local drag family. And if you get a chance to check out Rice Cake when hopefully when COVID is over, I highly recommend it. So I have some other videos like these that I've added to the playlist for this week. So just featuring some of the other performers in the city, just to kind of get a sense of what drag looks like in Vancouver. And so for class on Friday, if you have any favorite performers or favorite scenes, favorite parties with local drag that we haven't talked about yet, I encourage you to bring it to class and share some of your own experiences with us. So before I finally end today, just kind of a refresher on the research project. So we'll be taking a close look at some of your proposals during the discussion on Friday. but just kind of going over some of the main objectives of the project itself. So you have the option of doing something creative or doing a research essay. Essays are of course creative as well, but I really encourage you to do something maybe that you're not comfortable with. I won't be grading you on the artistic integrity itself. I'm not qualified to do so. So this is an opportunity for you to look at drag through a lens that maybe you're not comfortable with. And I know that sounds kind of scary for a class, but I've had a lot of folks do projects that they've never done before and have been very successful in looking at drag through a different lens. If you want to put your own self in drag and then write some sort of reflection on it, if you want to write a manifesto about drag in the city and your experiences with kind of performing gender performance, you're more than welcome to. So while you work on your proposals this week, just kind of get a sense of something that you're interested in. I would encourage you to look at something maybe that you're not familiar with. So if you're maybe want to dismantle some of the rituals of drag, or if you want to do an analysis of drag race or another drag show that you're seeing on TV, now there's quite a few to look at. I would encourage that. And please send me an email if you have any questions, of course. So just some things to consider while you're trying to brainstorm. So really kind of bringing in some of the course critiques and themes. So what kinds of drag do we see represented? How are they shaped or informed by categories like gender, race, and class, time and place? So we've looked at a lot of ethnographies that will look at, specific cities like San Francisco, Vancouver, New York. And you're welcome to look at a drag scene that we haven't talked about in class. Just make sure you check in with me so I can kind of guide you in the right direction if you need some support. And of course, the main thing I want you to put in some way into your creative project is just really showing me how you're drawing from the course topics, even if it's just the theoretical kind of background. So here's some examples. You could create a zine that explores the relationship between drag and ballroom scenes. Following the rep reading, not from last week, from week 2, you can write an essay that examines some of the historical differences between kings and queens and things like that. So you're welcome to use mediums such as, you can write a series of poems, you can write a research paper, you can do a zine, you can do a graphic novel, things like that. So before we end for the day, I would just like to thank you for your attention, and I really look forward to discussing some of your ideas for the creative project on Friday, and we will see you then.